Live. Live.
Okay. Welcome to the Summer's Woodworking Show. This is Season 4, Episode 20. And tonight we're going to be talking about what keeps you from making and how do you get past that, or how do you get over that. We'll go down the line, let our panel introduce themselves, tell you where they can be found, and also briefly, guys, if you want to, just talk about what you're making. We'll start with Shane. He's also going to be monitoring the chat for us. So, Shane, anything pops up in the chat, be sure to let us know.
Will do. Oh, I guess you want to start with me, Seth, huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Shane. I'm with Shane's Hobby Shop. You can find me on all your social networks under Shane's Hobby Shop. Now, also, stay tuned to right after this show is over. You can hop on over to my wife's channel, which is Know What Mom Knows. She's normally sitting right next to me, but she's getting ready right now. But after the show, go on over to Know What Mom Knows. We're having a live Q&A about me and her on her channel. So right after Brian's show, jump on over there. So that might be one reason why you see I'll be popping off here pretty early tonight so I can start that show up.
All right, good deal. What are you working on, Shane?
Oh, well, besides the Q&A, I'm actually fixing to start building a end table. No, what's her name? Oh, shoot, I can't think her name now. But anyway, the plan's online, Vanna White, something like that. Not Vanna.
White.
Yeah, that's her. She has plans for an end table, and I'm doing that one. I already got the wood set up, ready to go. I'll probably start that Monday.
All right, good deal. Look forward to seeing that. All right, next we got John. John, tell them who you are, where you can be found, and briefly what you're working on, brother.
Good evening, everybody. John Shafton here up in Central New York. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also find me on YouTube under my name. And for anybody that's following me, I'll be coming up with a long-awaited new video. Hopefully, you'll post it on Monday, possibly, yeah, probably Monday. I've been involved with Rush Clarity, has a contest going on, scroll saw contest, and I'm getting involved with that. So that's my project this time through. Should be able to wrap that up on Sunday, all the editing done and all that stuff. Look forward on Monday. After that, I got a loft bed that I'm going to be building for my grandson, which is going to be quite the project. All mortise tenon put together, and it's going to be quite the deal because I don't have a mortiser. I got to do it all manual. So other than that, that should take me into Christmas. So back to you, Dave.
Good deal. All right, next up, we've got Shannon. He's got the same glow around his head that I've got going. So, Shannon, tell them who you are and where you can be found and what you're working on.
I can be found conveniently by the train tracks here in town every Saturday at 6 o'clock, between 6 and 7, at least 5 to 6 times. But, yeah, I'm actually doing stuff tonight, so I've set the camera a little different. So yeah, I've got the angelic glow, which is all a bunch of hooey because it doesn't now. That's all fake. But but yeah, forgot what I was going to say next. So there we go.
All right. I'm glad you didn't say anything more about singing naked in the shower like you did on Facebook earlier. I've been trying to bleach my brain all afternoon, and it's painful, brother. So
it's a challenge. I understand the challenge, and I appreciate everybody and their struggles, but I'd never tackled a high water heater repair before today, and so I figured if I can do 15-liter engines like they're nothing, then a hot water heater, hot water heater. I always say that every time. And one of those ought not to be too big of a problem. So, and it's making hot water now. So there we go.
Sweet. I'm glad you got that going. Next on the panel, we have Chris. Chris, tell them where we can find you and briefly what you're working on.
Hey guys, Chris here from the Old Cranky Workshop. You can find me on YouTube at the Old Cranky Workshop and on Facebook, the Oak Banking Workshop. Right now, I'm between things. I've wrapped up contests and stuff, and starting to get prepped for some Christmas gifts and some yard displays for the holidays. That's about it right now.
All right, good deal. Brian, are you going to introduce yourself and tell people where they can find you right here on your channel?
I'm King Kong. You can find me in the tropical forest, and I don't have a workbench, but I do have bananas, and I'm willing to share with nobody.
Man, you
So,
know you don't look that good, Brian. Come on.
yes, I do. I'm the man.
That's good stuff. Well, he's Brian. He's the host of Summer's Woodworking. He has graciously let me guest host this week. I'm David with DLG Woodwork. You can find me on YouTube or Instagram, DLG Woodwork. And I'm similar to Chris. I've got a lot of things on the bench. I've got some of the David Picciuto pencil holder things. I've got a craft show next Saturday, so trying to build up some inventory for that. We'll go ahead and jump into our topic, and our topic is what keeps you from making and how do you get over it. But I want us to do this as kind of a two-parter. The first part will be what are you making, and then we'll kind of discuss some things will be avoidable, some unavoidable, and then how we get past that. So who wants to jump in first? What things keep you from making or keep you from spending time in the shop? Anybody got any thoughts?
Heat.
Yeah, I knew that would be your number one, Brian.
Well, actually, what a lot of people is probably going to have, myself included, is money-wise. It does cost a lot of money to go actually get some good lumber to build what you want to build. And a good way around that is what Sterling Davis is trying to push off on everybody is that pallet wood. A lot of people say, oh, no, don't get pallet wood. It's got all those chemicals in it. No, don't worry about that. Get you some pallet wood. They are free most of the time. And if you do got to pay for it, it's probably around $5 or less. You can clean off that top of the wood, maybe with a pressure washer or something, clean it down, and you'd be surprised how pretty that pallet wood is underneath that wood.
Yeah, and another, I'll save that for the kind of how to get over it. What else? What do you got, Shannon? What's something that keeps you from spending time in the shop besides that grandbaby?
I was going to say, my biggest obstacle the last month has been about 8 pounds of giggliness. And I'm not even going to be shy about that. I don't think I was out there. I don't even think I came out to the shop for the first 2 weeks after she was born. But, that's got me behind on everything. In all honesty, my biggest problem, if I'm honest about it, my biggest thing about getting out in the shop is me. I'll have in my head that something is going to take X amount of time, and I only have Y amount of time, so, oh well, I can't do it. And that's put off more projects, for me anyway, than probably anything else. I mean, yeah, money is a factor. It's a bigger factor than probably I admit to, since most of my stuff is benchtop or just about everything I've got would be considered a benchtop tool. So, but I'm not building large armoires or anything like that. So it works out. But for me, when I say me, it's probably a larger encompassing area. Give you an example. The table saw, half my table saw is just cluttered and cut off pieces. And every once in a while, I go through and clean it up, and I say, I'm not going to let them build up anymore like that. And then I look over there, and they're all built up right now. So yeah, I'm probably my biggest stumbling point to productivity out here. And what's the magic solution to that? Replace me.
We'll talk about some solutions here in just a couple of minutes. I've got some I'm kind of taking notes as we go through, so I'll interject my wisdom here in a minute, and then y'all tell me how unwise it actually is.
You're wearing a SawStop hat, so I'm gonna defer to you.
All right, John Shafter, we'll go with you next, brother. What keeps you from making and spending time in the shop?
Well, I'm going to go along with Shannon and say I keep myself out of the shop a lot, but for different reasons. I have a pretty well equipped shop. I got lots of lumber. I got lots of glue. I got lots of this, lots of that. But I have so much to do out there that if I do make it out there, I spent the first probably half an hour trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And that is counterproductive, of course. And then I get mad at myself, do anything at all, so I'll end up picking up or whatever. And I really never get into a project that I haven't really just pre-planned for, several days or so, saying I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do this. Basically, like I said, I've got so much to do out there that I just freeze and don't do anything. I'll go out there, listen to radio. I might work, pitter around for a little bit, and by that time the day is shot, and I just don't get things done. However, last weekend my son and a couple of his friends came over and cleaned my shop up really nice for me, and that added a lot of incentive to get out there. It's such a nice thing to walk out to a nice clean shop that
Absolutely.
you're not used to walking into. You're used to walking into, borderline FEMA funding. But like I was out there yesterday. I was out there for 4 hours yesterday, which is a miracle for me. But I'm my biggest holdback. I'm such a slob. I never clean up, and I get flustered.
Right. All right, Chris. The Wheeler, we'll go to you next. What's some things that keep you from making and keep you from getting out into the shop?
Right now, I'd have to say time. When you do a 40, 50-hour work week, plus that hour commute coming home, you get back, the last thing you want to do is go out there and sit on your feet in the shop. You just want to hit the couch, put your feet up, have dinner, spend time with my wife, things like that. So I've got to start mentally making the time. So and plan ahead, get a project in my head, have it plotted out, and then when I hit the shop, I can hit the ground running and get right into it. I've also recently discovered having the laptop out in the shop is an asset when you look up something. But it never fails. I find one of you criminals online, we start chatting, and I get nothing done. So it can be a distraction, too.
Yeah.
But, I think the time is a big issue for me. My office is slowing down now. We're in the winter months, but so maybe I'll get a little more time. But that extra time, I'm not in the office with the crappy roads in the wintertime, is going to get taken up in commute time. So I'll be right back to work starting. Saturdays are my day in the shop. I try to work everything around that, leave it as shop day. To the point where I had a college reunion with some buddies last week, 2 weeks ago, and they're already planning another one for around the holidays. I just blurted out, hey, if it's Saturday, I'm not coming. So it didn't go over well. I kind of flew like a lead balloon, but I just put my foot down. I'm tired of tippy-toeing around everybody else's schedule and work around mine for change.
All right. All right, what about you, King Kong? What keeps you, besides heat, from getting in the shop? Is heat the only obstacle?
Money, heat, money, ambition. Once you're not in the shop doing things constantly, getting the motivation to get in there is a big struggle too. Not to mention, I really don't have projects to do, so I don't know. I can't work late at night, and I can't work too early in the morning because of neighbors. But yeah, if I could just get the heat under control, that would work. I'll let you know more this winter if we get one.
I got you. Yeah, and it's supposed to be cooling off down there, and it still hadn't done it. I know you said it was 90 there today.
Yeah,
That's
90 outside, about 98 in the shop. So it's cooling down, but still hot.
Yeah, that's too hot for the end of October.
That actually sounds like what they're talking about in the chat room. They're also saying that's the weather is keeping them from doing anything, and a couple of them got chores they got to get done, so don't have time for woodworking. And so, yeah, it's basically about what everybody else say. Plus, money's a major factor too.
All right, so that brings us to the second part. How do we get over it? You know, how do you get past? I've kind of went down the list, and you know, some shop things are just unavoidable. You know, and I've put out to the side of some of these. You know, like what Chris mentioned with just time, your day job, you know, or your night job, your second shift job, whatever kind of job you have. You know, obviously you have to make a living, and for a lot of people that keeps them away from the shop. And then family, which I think is very important. You know, woodworking, education is important, is important, but woodworking is importanter. Well, I think family is even more importanter. And that's a joke for all of you that can't understand my southern drawl. Importanter, yeah. Important with an ER on the end. Importanter. Family is a very important thing.
Well, let's go over this one question on the chat. Generally want to know which one of us on the panel are full-time woodworkers and which one of us are part-time.
I'm definitely a full-time hobbyist. Is anybody here a full-time woodworker on the panel?
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm part-time. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to jump over you there. Go ahead.
Weekend warriors.
Yeah, I'm part-time hobbyist. I mean, I've got outside interests outside the work in the shop too, road racing, rehabbing an old house. I know I'm married, by the way. I got to spend time with her too.
Yeah.
So,
John, you're part-time?
Actually, I consider myself full-time if I want to be.
Okay.
I'm retired. I retired in 2009, so, you know, I had the shop available 24/7. If I could get out there 6, 7, 8 hours a day, you know, barring any psychological problems, you know, trying to get out there, then I could very easily be full-time. It really should be. I should be because I need the extra income. If I can market and whatnot, I can use the extra income to support my hobby. So I don't know. Would you call that full-time or part-time? I don't know.
Right.
I tell you what, just being a hobbyist with all the marketing and trying to get all the business associated stuff done, and heck, I'm constantly busy even though I'm not out there woodworking, you know, just trying to get things going for my YouTube channel and, you know, the social media aspects of it, you know, it totally keeps me busy.
Right. Yeah, and if you're trying to grow it into a business from part-time to or just a hobby or weekend woodworker to full-time, it'll seem, I mean, it could be like full-time for a while before it's actually technically full-time. Like, hey, this is actually what I do for a living. Like you're talking about, Brian, to build it up. I'm part-time hobbyist. I do make a few things for sale, mostly craft shows and little one-off projects here and there, but that's just been a recent development for me. Mine's always just been kind of a hobby, but I've made so many things. I kind of run out of wooden gifts to give my wife, so I wanted to keep making things, and I had to have some kind of outlet to get rid of some of it. So time, I know time in the shop is a very tough one to kind of balance with family and like even you said, Brian, motivation. One of the things I wanted to address on kind of how you get over it and kind of get your guys' opinion on this. Now, I know money, financially, everybody's in a different spot. It doesn't take a ton of money to do woodworking, but I think YouTube and social media can trick you into thinking it takes a ton of money to do woodworking. I mean, you look at all the limited tools projects, with a jigsaw and a drill and a hammer, or a circular saw and a hammer and a drill, you can build a bunch of different projects. But they don't look like the projects that somebody used a planer and a joiner and a cabinet saw and a drum sander and all these other things to build. That's where I kind of tied this one into money. Shane mentioned like lumber pricing. To get lumber to build what you want. A really good recommendation I have, he mentioned pallets. Another one is construction grade lumber, like pine from the home center. And I know smaller stuff is not easy to use, but you look at Jay Bates' channel, there's a lot of, Jay Bates built a whole bedroom suit out of construction grade lumber from the big box store, where he cut the pith out of a lot of the boards and used a lot of quarter sawn and made some really nice looking stuff. So check out Jay Bates' channel, all the different bedroom suit items he built out of just dimensional lumber. And also, go ahead.
Even lumber yards with the sawmill, you can get some pretty good prices with them too.
Yeah, and that's, lumber, it varies. That varies greatly by location. We were talking about that before we even went live. So just kind of, get out there and see what other options are out there. Search for, big box store lumber. Another good one is Homemade Modern. He does a lot of concrete, different type of work, but he uses a lot of just construction grade lumber and plywood to build things out of. So that could be one of the ways to kind of get over that. Cleanliness was one that was mentioned, being able to work a nice, clean shop. What do you guys do to try to keep your shop clean and organized?
Clean up after yourself afterwards.
Do you do it per project, or when you get tired of tripping over things?
I have to do it after each project. Otherwise, because my shop's so small that I have to keep it clean after each project. Otherwise, you just stumble over everything. You lose everything that you've got out. But you know what? I don't have that problem yet because everything's in boxes and stacked to the ceiling, and hopefully we can solve that problem this winter. But yeah, when I had my smaller shops, constantly moving things. And that's, with a small shop and you have to move things to get to what you need, and then you got to put it back. That takes a lot of the fun out of woodworking just as it is. But I couldn't see doing it any other way in a small shop because if it's dirty, you're going to slip on something. You're going to end up busting your butt on something. And I just got to keep it clean.
Yeah.
I got a whole yard for a shop, and that ain't no fun either.
Hey, Donald Matthews just jumped in. Hey, you can tell everybody who you are and where we can find you.
I'm Donald Matthews, also known as Donald Vlogifies. My YouTube channel is Donald Vlogifies Wood Shop. All my Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff's there. I got a website, redneckknowhow.com, and I think that's it.
All right. Hey, Shannon, if you ain't too busy working, I wanted to touch base with you on one you mentioned. You said kind of getting in your own way, or was that Chris that had talked about kind of redesigning the project in your head, or thinking, hey, I can't go out and do that, or hey, how am I going to do this thing? Was that you, Shannon?
No, I don't follow a plan. I go until I hit a roadblock, and then I figure it out and keep going. A plan would make way more sense. But,
no, that was me. I don't have a plan either. I kind of have it in my head what I want to do. I don't really lay it out step by step. I just jump in and start making the pieces and the parts, and I discover I probably should have made a certain part earlier in the progress, and I got backed up a little bit. But I usually like to have an idea in my head what I'm doing before I start.
If you got a plan, then you don't screw up and learn anything.
It's not true to that. But let me back up a step. You're talking about lumber. I had very good luck with using just kind off the shelf from the big box stores. You don't have to have all expensive, Purple Heart and Cherry you see everybody using. And I look at those guys' videos, and if you watch them long enough, these guys are working with unlimited budgets to start with. So I don't let that bother me. You know what? That's what finishes are for. I can come up with a cherry finish out of a can.
Or have the capability to go out and harvest the trees and mill them themselves.
Yeah, those guys, yeah.
Yeah.
But you could do okay.
Well, and I think that's one of.
Good.
And I think that's one of the big. And I love YouTube. You guys are my YouTube family here, but I think that's kind of one of the big YouTube myths is you don't have to do it like the guys on the video are doing. It can be different wood. It can be use a different tool. Like you said, Chris, the pine from the big box store. If that's all you've got to work with, that's just as good as somebody that builds something out of cherry. Now they may be building it for a different purpose or for a customer or whatever, but you don't always have to do it because the guy in the video did it that way.
Right.
Ah, come on. You got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, that's a creek.
Soft stop owner. Look at my soft stop hat. Pardon.
What was that, brother? I couldn't. Hey, now I've got a good defense for that. I paid $3,000 for the hat, but they gave me a free table saw with it.
You got a deal.
No, I've got it. Honestly, I've got an 11-year-old daughter that likes to work in the shop with me, and I'd like for her to be able to use a table saw soon. Not ripping anything, but cross cutting, and just being able to grow in the shop. And I know down the road she's going to want to use it. So that's as much my reasoning for getting it. And I wanted a last purchased table saw, so I went with that one.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time because I can. I got nothing against it. I said go for it. If you can afford it, go for it.
Yep.
I'm just making fun of you wearing your hat. That's all.
Yeah.
But don't come up to us that can't afford it and say, you know what you need? You should have used this on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten that reaction in a few videos.
Do what, Chris?
I've gotten that reaction from some guys, and they'll remain nameless, on a few videos that messaged me early on the side, say, hey, you should have got this kind of saw. It would make your cut much easier. Shut up.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you go pick it up and drop it in my shop for me, okay?
Yeah, and I think that leads to something else that we mentioned. One of the hindrances of actually getting out in the shop is just trying to overplan and overthink. I think that happens to a lot of beginning woodworkers is they don't know just the first step. Like Chris Keith's channel is make the first cut. Just go out and make that first cut. I really like this. I think Chris has got some feedback or somebody. There we go. Just taking that first step. Paralysis by analysis is the term I've heard used. People just overthink instead of, hey, go out there and screw some stuff up. Like Donald said, you can, you'll learn a lot by screwing up. Woodworking is as much about covering up your mistakes as it is about actually, finishing the project the way a lot of projects, some of my favorite ones that I've done, didn't end up how it started out.
Well, and two, one of the things that I'm saying this because this wasn't the way I did it, but I figured out anyway. There's a lot of things we do that it's building upon knowledge, if you will. And it sounds stupid, but how much a good system, whatever it is, whatever you've got, fancy, high-priced jig, homemade contraption, whatever, but how far can you get in woodworking if you know how to build simple boxes? Small-scale boxes, large-scale boxes, how much of it is it what we do, whether it be a cabinet or a dresser or a chest of drawers or cigar box, armoire, whatever, it is just embellishments on a simple box concept.
I don't know how to make a box.
Hey, small boxes are harder than big boxes. Big boxes, you can hide a gap. On a small box, you can't hardly hide a gap.
It takes a lot more filler, but Not that I know, no, not that I know. But you know, it's that kind of thing. I mean, if you whatever tool you have, for example, you know, part of that is learning your tool. And so if you know you have an underpowered table saw, that's fine. You just got to go slower on cuts that are, you know, for like cutting maple and cherry. You know, otherwise you're going to set it on fire trying to go through there, or trip a breaker, you know, whatever the case may be. And, you know, you asked earlier, and I was doing something when you asked it, but are we full-time or part-time? And I consider myself a full-time hobbyist, not a full-time actual professional. But for the last 2 years, this has been my way of making money. And there's been a lot of things that I figured out from where I started was 10 years ago as just a regular hobbyist that, you know, that was not necessary. And so, you know, I think with a lot of it, you know, is building your skill sets, building the basics. You know, like in football, you know, coach always preaches, do the fundamentals. You know, you do blocking drills, you do tackling drills. It's you do the basics, and then come game time, you can do your fancy plays. But most of the game is just basic exercises.
Right.
You don't flea flicker every time you turn around. So if you can master those basic skills, and then as you grow, as you learn what you want to do, how you want to do it, you change that.
Yep.
Well, that's one of that goes along with some of the. A lot of people get on me for using hand tools. Why don't you use power tools? Some of the power tools I got, some of them I just don't have. But if I can learn how to do it on this piece of crap and do a decent job of it, imagine what I can do when I do finally get a decent piece of equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
And there again, if the power goes out with the hand tools, if the power goes out, how many people can rip a board and can rip a board with a handsaw?
Right.
I'm still working.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of another good point too. Talking about, you know, I know money is a hindrance. That was one of the things that was even mentioned in the chat. Use what you got. That goes back to what I said a minute ago. You know, you don't have to do it just like the guys on TV. I mean, use what you got, and a lot of times even, you know, you see people on TV, they've acquired that, or on YouTube, they've acquired that shop over time. That's what, I've got a pretty well-equipped shop now for what I do. But I didn't all of a sudden just go out one day and have all this stuff. I mean, this is accumulation of 10 years of building and, you know.
Your wife would have killed you.
Yeah. One of the ways I built it up was I convinced my wife that each new project I needed another tool to build that project. So she was a little more friendly with the family's budget to help me be able to acquire some of these tools.
That comes in real handy. We're renovating the house, and I always seem to find an excuse for a project in the house I need for the shop too. So.
Yep. I think it was John, you mentioned about you've kind of got too much to do. You can kind of be overwhelmed. Like right now, like I said, I'm getting ready for a craft show next Saturday. And just sitting here on my bench, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different projects that I want to do. And when I walk out here, it's like, well, what do I do first? Something that has helped me, and I know this is an organization thing and some people are not list makers, but I've tried to make a to-do list. I actually talked about this with somebody the other day. I'm wanting to put on my shop wall like a to-do list for, you know, this shop project or this project to get done and help plan for the future, you know, like for Christmas projects and things like that. But when I get it done, not necessarily erase it off my to-do list, just strike a line through it. That way it's still there, but you also have a sense of accomplishment that, hey, I had these 8 things to do. Look, I got 4 of them done, or I checked off 3 things on the list today. So, and I know making lists is new to some people, and some people don't want to take the time. But if you could take 5 minutes and sit down and write down, okay, I need to do these 5 things, and then you have it on paper, you could also look at it and think, okay, I'd rather do this one first, or I want to do this one first and get it out of the way. What's your thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, that sounds good. I have actually done that. I mean, I have, like don't have any wall space for a whiteboard or anything, but I have a pad that I keep, track of my stuff that I'm doing. And, unfortunately, it takes me months to get things scratched off my pad, But, it's just a way of organizing your thoughts and organizing the order in which you're going to do things. And, yeah, like you said, you'll get them all done eventually.
That sounds like work to me.
Yeah, it's work, King Kong, but it's worth it.
More work to add to work.
See that's going.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can take that 5 minutes to make the list, make yourself more
It
productive.
takes more than 5 minutes for my list.
See, that's
Right.
the assumption that the woodworker cares whether or not he accomplishes anything.
Yeah, and that's true. That's another thing I wrote down here as far as cleanliness and when do you clean up your shop, and I think you always kind of have to ask yourself fairly regular, what's your motivation?
I'm
Do I want to just go
Donna,
out the shop?
Donna's saying,
Do
make
I?
a to-do list for your to-do list.
Yeah. You can ask yourself, what's your motivation? Do I want to go out in the shop just so I'm in the shop? Some people just enjoy piddling and moving stuff around or whatever, or do I have to go in the shop and I have to get this thing done today? I think your motivation behind why you're out in the shop can, kind of help your to-do list, help your planning, and even some of your cleanliness at times.
It can be overwhelming at times, too.
Yeah.
Because you go out there, you got so much to do that you're like, forget it.
Yeah.
I think you got to look at it. Is it a job or is it a hobby? I mean, if
You're right.
If you're looking at it, it's too much. You're looking at it like it's a job. You know what? No wonder you don't want to go. Who wants to go to work?
That's what started messing with me a little bit, because I started having projects overlapping each other.
Yeah.
I'd have pens I was trying to make some money on, something else I was trying to do for the family, and then something else I got to get done for this YouTube video. And it's like one project after another are overlapping. And cleaning up, huh? I clean up when I trip over a cord.
Right. Well, that's what, like I said, and I know I'm pushing a list, and you don't always have to write a list down. Like you said, Donna, you had 3 different kind of areas you were kind of headed. In my day job, I do sales, and there's times when I've got a customer that they need an answer in 5 minutes, and then I have this other project that I need to get this thing quoted by the end of the day, and I've got this other project that, hey, before the end of the week I got to do this. But sometimes I have 4 customers that need an answer in the next 5 minutes. It's just kind of learning how to prioritize that. So I'm kind of blessed in my day job that I've been able to learn that kind of organization. So I think, even though Brian wants to take more than 5 minutes to make a list, I think it's handy to be able to prioritize things. And before we go any farther, I want to give my buddy Charles Deering a chance to say hi. Say he dropped in on us. Say hi and tell everybody who you are, brother.
Hi, and tell everybody who you are. No, I am Charles Deering. Thanks for having me. For those that don't know, I've been on disability for quite a few years, but I just started a job Tuesday, and so far I've been able to stick with it, but I had a major panic attack. That's big news for me. For anybody that knows me, I haven't been able to work, but so far I'm sticking through it. And Wood Inventions is my website, and in the link section you can find all my social media. Thank you.
Good on you, Charles. Congrats.
Good deal. Glad you're working, brother.
Me too.
I hope it continues to work out well for you.
I hope so. The second day I went out back and puked 7 times, but besides that, it was fine.
Only 7? Hey, man, you're good to go.
I couldn't believe my second day on the job, and I was having one of the worst panic attacks I've had in years, but I lived through it.
I have a fear of, I'm looking for a job too, and hopefully I'll start one here shortly. I don't know if you'd call what I have panic attacks, but I'm afraid I'm going to bring my woodworking to work with me and bust somebody else on the head with a 2x4.
Well, on a rare, serious note with me, I know that's rare, but my boss is also a friend of mine, but he's very, very understanding. But he offered me to go home, and I just tried to fight through it. I said, because I want to be one of those guys you can depend on. I don't know. It's just I shouldn't go off topic, but the topic, from what I'm saying, is what keeps you from making, and how do you get past it? 9 times out of 10, when I don't make it, is because of depression or burned out. What gets me past it is time.
Yeah. Is it burned out from just too much, time at the scroll saw or in the shop, and you have to take a break kind of thing, or is it burnout on like life in general? What are you kind of getting at?
Well, when it's depression, it's life in general. But most of my depression and burnout is, believe it or not, money related, lack thereof. I'll get in those pity parties where I'm sitting at the saw wanting to cut something out and thinking, why bother? It doesn't sell anyway. But then I did my first show in years last weekend and made almost $500. So I mean, it's taken a lot of kicking myself, and I know a lot of y'all, if not all of y'all, would like to kick me, but I'm doing it for myself. But things are looking up if I can stick with it. The only thing I got left to do is to quit Dr. Pepper.
Guys, I promised Mom I was going to do her show tonight, so I'm going to cut on out of here.
Yeah, we're about to wrap it up so people can jump over there and watch that show. So, Donald, appreciate having you.
Sorry,
the topic tonight was, what keeps you from making and how do you get over it? Now, we've talked about several things that keep you from making it. I hope we've offered a few solutions. Anybody have anything to add before we kind of wrap it up here?
Not to go off topic, but I didn't even know Mom had a show. What's it about?
Q&A.
We're doing live Q&A here in just a few minutes. I'll tell everybody about it here in a minute.
All right.
I gotta bounce shortly too for the same reason Don.
Right.
I guess as far as adding things, sorry, Chris, were you gonna say something?
Well, I was gonna probably something you were gonna say. Just keep it in your mind that it's a hobby unless it is your living. It's supposed to make you relax, not make you get worked up.
Right.
I come out my shop sometimes and, like you said, just fiddle. I move things from one side of the room to the other. I said, "Oh, that doesn't work," and I put it back. So it's just this is my space out of the house, and not my job, not the house, not my day-to-day grind. So it's my downtime.
I think sometimes when you're pushing yourself to a certain standard, that can do it too, as far as feeling like work. But
right.
That's what gives me a lot, because I'm real. The more I get into woodworking, the more particular I get about how good it is, because I know I've been doing this for a little while and it should look better than this. And when it don't come out sometimes it don't come out right, it bugs the snot out of me.
Yeah, but as far as that burnout topic, when you burn out on it in general, that's what got me into lathe turning. So it does have its benefits if you just want to try a new avenue. It might be your niche, but I don't know if it's my niche, but so I went back to scrolling.
Yeah. Guys, I got a pause so I can go hook up with Mom and get the rules. I'll see you over there.
I'm heading out there too.
Anybody have anything to add? And I'll make the next announcement, and we'll wrap it up.
I would like to add, like in my case, I get overwhelmed when I go out there because I just have so damn much to do. But I find that if I can focus enough on just doing anything, whether it just be picking up a few tools or sweeping up a pile of sawdust, start somewhere, do something. Don't just sit out of your stuff and smoke, like in my case, smoke cigarettes and listen to music. Don't do that. Actually force yourself to do something. And that first step oftentimes is enough to get you going to do more than just that.
Yeah.
So I get a lot accomplished if I just take that first step.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with sort of what Chris said. It's supposed to be fun, and also, what's your motivation behind it? Your motivations, because several of the things that keep us from the shop, we listed a few that was unavoidable, but all the things we listed, most of them have a workaround or actually are avoidable if we'll just, maybe have a different mindset or a different game plan. So I hope we offered some solutions to encourage people to make a little more tonight. Shane from Shane's Hobby Shop will be hosting the show here next week, so make sure and tune in same time for the 6 o'clock Central, 7 p.m. Eastern for Shane hosting next week. He doesn't have a topic yet, but he'll come up with one, and we'll all find out what it is together, I guess. And also on about to start live now on Know What Mom Knows YouTube channel. Shane and Shelly Cole will be doing a live Q&A. And again, the channel is Know What Mom Knows, and that's going to start here in just a couple of minutes. So we'll wrap it up here. And King Kong, you got anything you want to say before we sign off?
I think he's saying it, but